This is week 2, January 17th through the 21st. We are starting in chapter 1, Saludos y expresiones de cortesía. That's on page 2 of your textbook. I'm going to run through all the vocabulary with you, and then you will be able to do the practice vocab assignments that are listed in Blackboard, and they'll be due by Sunday night. Here's a suggestion for vocabulary. Either as we go through it, you can take notes, you can draw pictures. It's good to repeat the words as I say them. This little box right here, you know how you buy the gum and then just throw out the box? This is a great little box to put note cards in. It's not exactly the size of these note cards, but you can cut it to size, and then it's just really handy and you don't lose them and they don't get busted. And also make yourself a Quizlet. That'd be a really great place to put your vocab. First vocab word, we have señora. It's abbreviated SRA. That means Mrs., married, or ma'am. Señor, abbreviated SR, señor, means Mr. or Sir. Señorita, abbreviated SRTA, means Miss, an unmarried woman. El profesor is the teacher or professor. La profesora, teacher or professor. Now, profesor is masculine, el profesor. La profesora is feminine. You notice there's a difference between this little word in the front, el, and la, and then profesor for masculine ends with an R, profesora for feminine ends with an A. Now we have our greetings. We have buenos dias, which means good morning, and we say that in the morning. Buenas tardes, which means good afternoon, and we say that once we've had lunch, so it could be a different time for everybody. And we have buenas noches, which means good evening or good night. You could say good evening as a hello and good night as a goodbye. A short way to say good day or good morning is muy buenas. It doesn't really indicate what time of day, so it's a real short, quick, easy one to use at any time. Let's match the appropriate greeting to the time. I have 9:30 in the morning. There's a sun for you. What time of day, morning, and what greeting would be the best? Buenos dias. Think of D for day. 10 p.m., that's at night. That's at night. We need the greeting for good night. That would be buenas noches. N for night. That's a clue. 7:15 p.m., it's also night. Pick the one with the N in it. The answer, buenas noches. 6:30 a.m., that's a good day, good morning. Think of the word that has day in it. Buenos dias. And 2:45 p.m., that's in the afternoon. This one has the T. Buenas tardes. So I'm going to try and give you clues where I can. D for days, N for noches, night, and tardes, think, oh, I'm tardy, it's getting late in the afternoon, T for tardy. Here's your first little baby conversation. This contains a lot of the vocab that you need to use. We have an informal way of speaking. Informal is how you talk to people that you are familiar with. And then we have the same conversation again used in a formal manner. Now, as I read it, you'll notice a difference between the two, and then I'll explain when you use it informally and when you use it formally. Speaker 1. Hola, ¿cómo te llamas tú? Speaker 2 answers, me llamo. Speaker 1 says, mucho gusto. And Speaker 2 replies, igualmente. Here we have the same conversation in a formal manner. Hola, ¿cómo se llama usted? Speaker 2 answers, me llamo. Speaker 1, mucho gusto. Speaker 2, igualmente. What changed was in the question. ¿Cómo te llamas tú? Changed to ¿cómo se llama usted? Okay? We speak with this to form, which means you, with people that are our peers, that we're familiar with or could use their first name. We use usted, which also means you, with people that we need to show respect to. That would be anybody older than you, someone you don't know. Police officers definitely would go for that. And we'll be talking about those differences as time goes on. So, tú means you. Usted means you. We use tú when we're talking to our friends. We use usted when we're speaking formally. Now I'm going to translate these dialogues. Hello. How do you call yourself? I call myself, then they would insert their name. Nice to meet you. Likewise. So the next conversation is going to be exactly the same. Hello. How do you call yourself? But I know when I say, ¿Cómo se llama? I'm speaking formally. Me llamo, I call myself and fill in your name. Mucho gusto, nice to meet you. Igualmente, likewise. Okay, ¿Cómo estás tú? Means, how are you? Look, there's tú. So I am speaking informally, peer-to-peer, somebody I'm familiar with. ¿Cómo está usted? Usted also means you, but now it's the formal way of speaking. Notice that this verb, which means are, drop the S. And just a quick, easy way to say how are you, very informally, like you're walking past somebody in the hall, you would say, ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? Okay, that could be anybody really informally. You're not really, sometimes you don't even expect a response. It's that informal. So if somebody says, ¿Cómo estás tú? And they're speaking to you informally, like they're your friend, or ¿Cómo está usted? And they're treating you with respect, you would answer it by saying, Estoy, which means I am, and then give a feeling. You could say, Estoy excelente. I am excellent. Estoy muy bien. I'm very well. Estoy bien. I'm well or fine. Estoy así así, or estoy regular, or más o menos. You might have heard it in many different ways. This means I'm so-so, I'm okay, I'm regular. I'm Estoy mal. I am not well. Estoy muy mal. I am not well at all. Estoy terrible. I am terrible. And they're all feelings. And I know it doesn't sound too good to say well and not well. We don't really speak so formally, but that is how we speak in Spanish. And if you want to ask the question back to somebody, then you would ask, ¿Y tú? If you're asking your friend, if you're asking somebody formally, you would say, ¿Y usted? They both mean and you, and you. Next little dialogue is saying what your name is. Me llamo. And then a blank for your name. Me llamo means I call myself. If you want to ask someone how they call themselves or what their name is, you would say, ¿Cómo te llamas tú? I see the tú, that means you. This means how do you call yourself? That's informal, peer-to-peer, friend-to-friend, people you're familiar with. If I want to ask what someone's name is and I want to be formal, I would say, ¿Cómo se llama? Notice the little changes. Usted. Usted means you, but it's formal. How do you call yourself? Your answer would be, Me llamo. I call myself and say your name. Now you're probably wondering why I'm not saying, my name is, and what is your name? Well, yes, we can make sentences like that in Spanish, but this is the more common way to say, what is your name? And it's said, how do you call yourself? So we're going to be consistent with what our textbook has and use this phrase as meaning, how do you call yourself? Next little question is, ¿De dónde eres tú? Oh, I see tú again. That means I'm talking to somebody informally, a peer or someone I'm familiar with. Or in the formal, ¿De dónde es? That changed. Usted. This means, where are you from? In our two sentences above, which two words mean you? We have tú and we have usted. They both mean you. Tú is the way we talk peer-to-peer, usted formally. To answer this question, you would say soy de and insert your location. That means I am from. If you look at the question, the word from is in the question as well as the answer. De and de both mean from. Let's talk about some pleasantries and conversations. If you want to say delighted, charmed, I know that sounds so fancy, but the Spanish we're learning is really formal Spanish, and this is the fancy formal Spanish. So encantado, you would say if you're a boy, you'd end this with an O, would mean delighted, charmed. Encantada, if you're a girl, you would end it with an A. Now you're probably asking about gender identity. Well, you choose whichever one you identify with, and you use that ending. Mucho gusto means nice to meet you. Igualmente means likewise. And te presento a is let me introduce you to or let me present to you. Okay? We're going to put these all together in a conversation. Here are some situational pleasantries. If you want to say thank you, you say gracias. How about thank you very much? Muchas gracias. If you want to say you're welcome, you say de nada or no hay de qué. No hay de qué. This little H-A-Y word just sounds like the letter I. Please is por favor. To say excuse me when you're passing by someone, you can say permiso or con permiso. If you want to say I'm sorry or pardon me to get someone's attention or excuse me, you could say perdón or lo siento. Here are goodbyes. Adiós. Hasta luego. Hasta mañana. Ciao. And nos vemos. Ciao is a very informal way of saying goodbye. You wouldn't do that to maybe a police officer. You would say hasta luego or adiós. Okay, now we're going to continue on with pronunciation and the alphabet. That's on page 7 of your textbook. The vowels are key. The letter A is pronounced ah, ah. The letter E is pronounced e, like in the word egg, e. This is probably a really hard one. Make sure you remember that the E sounds like the E in egg, e. The letter I is like a double E in English, E, E. Let me go over those again. A, E, E. Be sure and repeat. The O, see in English we have an O that kind of sounds like an O with a W. It's just an O, like an orange would be O, O. No W sound afterwards. And the last letter is the letter U, which sounds like a double O, like in the word hoot. Oo, oo. Repeat. A, E, I, O, U. Here's your alphabet. Repeat after me. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, Ñ, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W or doble U or W, X, Y, Z. CH makes CH sound. G could be a hard G or it can sound like an H. H is silent. The J makes the H sound in Spanish. Double L is like a Y, yeah. The ñ sound is the new letter. It's like the NY in canyon. Q followed by a U, which it always is, sounds like a letter K. Double R will roll. You don't see it on the alphabet, but you'll see it. And a Z sounds like an S. So here we have two forms of G. If G is followed by a soft vowel, which is an E or an I, it has an H sound. Geranio, jirafa. If it's followed by a hard vowel, an A, an O, or a U, it's got a G sound. Gusano, gota. The H makes no sound. Helado, hierro, and CH is regular like in English. chocolate.